Hello everyone, and welcome back to the last part of our Let's Build a House series. I apologized for this taking so long. Honestly, the part that actually took the longest was figuring out the floor plan and what to do with this basement. Oh my goodness, this basement. It was so big. It was just, oh my gosh. And I knew I wanted to put a pool in. I had that idea, but I've also had the request for the pool to be indoors. And it was just, oh my goodness, trying to come up with what to do with this large space, because I wanted to bring you a fully furnished, fully functional home. So I didn't want to leave anything out. So every square inch of this house is furnished. I even added more to the exterior for you. It's still not, you can still add more. There's still plenty more to add to the backyard, but I did fill in as much as I could come up with. I was racking my brain with some of the areas as well in the backyard, trying to fill everything in, trying to come up with what I could do, because that's really not my thing. So, but anyway, this is where I ended up deciding to do the pool area. I like the way the pool area turned out, believe it or not. It looks really nice. It kind of gives a little bit of a modern feel, I think, anyway. And the reason why is because it's got the big glass doors and windows right there so you can see through. But at the same time, right there at the pool, as you can see, it is a half wall. That way you can still socialize from the pool area to the game room area, and and not actually be closed off. So I really like the way that pool is and the way it turned out, and I like the picture I ended up putting. I don't normally do pools, but I actually changed the tiles and everything with it. I think it turned out really, really good. So hopefully the cameras and stuff doesn't seem too awkward to you. Yeah, some of it is going to be moved in weird locations, as you can see, not quite right up front, and there's actually a reason for that. Like I have said in the past, this house comes with several secret passages. You're going to have, if you decide to do them, you don't have to do them. They can be left alone. You don't have to have anything to do with them and still have fully function of this house. There are just a few things, of course, that you won't have if you don't discover the secret passages. There will be some puzzles. Some of them are easy to find and figure out. Others, they're kind of scattered throughout the house. They're not going to be right where you think they need to be. They're going to be all over the place. So you just have to pay attention. I think I counted around 17 puzzle pieces to figure out total. That doesn't mean 17 separate things to collect or anything like that. It just means some of the puzzles take more than one type of figuring, more than one type of piece to put together to get it completely figured out. And so there's a total of around 17, give or take a couple. I wasn't too sure on some of them on what ones to count and what ones not to count. So I think around 17. That should keep you pretty busy. So the other thing that's taken me really long to get this uploaded, I actually have had this house done now since, I want to say February of 2017. Yes, February of this year. Because basically, unfortunately, right when I was finishing up this house, that is actually when my computer or my game actually started the problems. I wasn't sure if it was the house itself at that time. I wasn't sure what was causing it. I didn't even know there was a problem. This is how early on it was starting to affect my game. So I didn't know if maybe it was the lot itself or if it was something else. But I was barely able to get the house finished, but I wasn't able to actually test any of the secrets and puzzles in this house. I had tested them throughout to make sure they were working. Plus, of course, that is kind of, it was fun to do. I had to learn, and let me tell you, there was not very many places online that actually helped you learn how to do that. So you will need World Adventures Pack in order to get the secret passages. I honestly don't know what will happen in the house if you do not have world adventures, at least in those areas. I don't know what kind of stuff is going to get replaced with those objects. I don't know what would happen. So you know, that's going to be my recommendation. If there is not an expansion pack that you don't have, or that I would say that you might want to try to make sure you did have, would probably be World Adventures, just because I don't know what's going to happen to the house if you don't have it. The rest of the house will be fine. I mean, it'll just replace whatever you don't have. If you don't have some of the store content, that's fine. Your game will just replace it. That's okay. It just, the World Adventures stuff, it kind of worries me a little bit. I don't know what'll happen to your game if you don't have that. So, and the other thing to also, if you do want to do the puzzles, please do not go into build mode, because going into any kind of build or buy mode will show all of that. It will show all of the secrets. It won't exactly tell you how to solve them, but it will show you where all the secret rooms are and the secret passages. There are passageways in this house, certain areas that you'll have to unlock and things like that. So if you do want to do the secrets and the puzzles, please do not go into that until you have solved them. I will warn you, there are some that if you do not what was I going to say? It kind of blacked out on the screen there. I wasn't sure what was happening. If there are some areas of the house that if you get into it, your sim is basically going to get locked in there. There's actually, I think, 2 of them total that will completely lock your sim in, and they won't be able to get out unless you use cheats. And they will completely be locked out, and they will not have any place for food or water or bathrooms or anything like that. So if they get locked in there, they will die. So you really got to be careful of that. But there are secret puzzle pieces to find that will unlock your sim, as in they will be able to get out if you solve the puzzle. So I hope you enjoy the puzzles. They were a lot of fun. They were fun to try to come up with. Fun to try to solve and figure out how I want to play some and what I wanted to do. And then, of course, the other thing that took me forever, which I think I got off track, I was beginning to tell you, and then I kind of got off track of it. I had to go in after my, I had to wait to go back in this game, obviously, because of all the content that is in this house. I had to wait until my game was, I felt, finished, as in fixed, before I could actually go back in without losing any objects and being able to save if need be, and go through and test all of my puzzles. So everything has been tested. I don't know about specific objects for sure. I'm sure there's going to be some that are not going to be accessible, but you know, sometimes I don't care. I sacrifice sometimes the occasional area or object not being accessible for a specific look, so it just kind of happens that way. But I can't guarantee 100% that everything is going to work out. But anyway, yeah, this is pretty much the backyard. I decided to do a retaining wall. It ends up turning out really good. I actually struggled with this. You won't see it in the recording because I didn't want, of course, I don't want this series. I didn't want each part to be long. That's why they're kind of cut down. Plus, I had it also slowed down for you as well. That way you can kind of see a little bit easier on what I'm doing. That way it wasn't sped up too fast. You could actually kind of see a little bit better on what's going on. Maybe it could help you learn how to do some of the things that I did do. I know it's still sped up a little bit, but I was hoping it's only sped up at 5 times the speed, so that my usual is about 8 to 8.5 times speed. So it's quite a bit less than what I would normally do. So, yeah, I ended up cutting out actually some of the stuff of the landscaping just because it was being fussy and it didn't want to work for me. And like I said, I didn't want to, make this a really long part. and have you sit there and watch me fuss with it. You pretty much see for the most part how it goes. As you can see, it's pretty much done. The retaining wall is done. I just thought it would look really nice to have kind of like a pathway down the side of the house. I thought that would look kind of nice. So I ended up putting a whole bunch of plants. I changed the color there to kind of give the illusion of that being dirt. It's kind of what my plan was. And then, of course, I went ahead and decorated it. I put some nice fancy shrubs because this is a fancy house. You're going to have nice, neat landscaping that looks well pruned and looks like it's taken care of and in like perfect order. So that's kind of what I was thinking. It's got a little bit of mixture of a mess of plants and also a little bit of mixture of it being nicely groomed and trimmed and everything else. So but yeah, this is basically it for the retaining wall. I went ahead and put in a border, as you can see, to kind of go around the rest of the house, just to try to help trim out the walkways. And just in case, I don't know if I mentioned it in previous parts past or not, if you're wondering about the stairs in the front of the house, how they kind of do an L shape and stuff like that, and these stairs here, I have tested all of that. Those do work. That I do know, because sometimes I have done, different kinds of stairs and stuff like that before, and then they didn't work. So those I definitely made sure I went in and tested for you. And then here's some more shrubbery. Just trying to fill it in the space a little bit for you. That way it's not quite so bare. Like I said, I tried really hard with this house to give lots of plants and give lots of shrubbery and just try to fill in the spaces the best that I could. And I think it turned out really nice. I love the way this house looks, and I myself can't wait to play in this house. I've been waiting for just as long as you guys. So it's probably one of my more favorite houses. However, I will have to warn you, it's going to depend on your computer, heavily on your computer. If you are barely running where you can run the game, I hate to say it, but you're not going to be able to handle this house. It has a lot. It does take a little bit of time to load. Now, my system is not the best system out there, and it loads into the lot fine with no problems. It does take a couple of minutes, but not too bad. In fact, my Promenade Farms, I think is the name of it, takes a whole lot longer to load into my lot than this house does. And believe it or not, this house actually runs smoother than that lot does. So this one's not quite as bad. I would say it's probably my second worst house on the way it runs that I've ever created. But it still runs smoothly. So if you have a decent computer, I imagine this house running just fine for you. Now, I really hate doing fireplaces out, fire pits and stuff outdoors and these chairs, because you want to know something? They never seem to work. Even though they snap into place and everything, I never seem to have them right. I more than likely probably have one chair out of all of those. Of all 6 of them, there's probably only one of them that actually works. I really don't know. I didn't test any of those. It's kind of a hit and miss, I think, when it comes to those. And then, of course, we are coming to the end. Like I said, this is the end of this series. I am so glad it is finally finished, and I'm so glad I can finally upload this. I've been waiting to do the commentary to when I could finally upload this house for y'all to download. And I plan on it'll more than likely be put onto the exchange first, but I will be hopefully quickly getting it onto PolarBearSims. That way you can have more of a description of the house. That way I can have more of something written for you. And I don't know, I like using PolarBearSims better because you get to look at the pictures and everything better than the exchange. But it just takes a little bit more time to upload. I have to put all the information and all the packs and everything used and everything. So it's a little bit of a hassle, but for the most part, I've uploaded enough things there that I can bypass that queue or whatever the heck it is that you have to do, I can bypass that, and most of the time there's not any problems, so I don't normally have, to go back to it. So basically all I'm doing is adding these invisible lights that will go away when you go into play mode, just to brighten up certain areas of the house. You know how sometimes these mansions, like the turrets for instance, will be lit up by a light that's shining on it or something. That's kind of the illusion I'm trying to create with those lights, and I try to help a little bit with the bad lighting to get the shades, the lights and stuff to try to travel a little bit more than just one floor to kind of give it that illusion. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, and I think it turned out really great. So here is a glimpse of the screenshots, and no, you cannot see any of the puzzles. If you're trying to find them, you cannot find them. Because believe it or not, a lot of stuff in my builds are blacked out anyway. So, but here are some more screenshots. I think this house turned out absolutely gorgeous. It is one of my favorite homes, and I hope you enjoyed. And again, I apologize if this is taking so long. I hope I got to everybody's request. I hope I got all the requests put into this house that I received. And thank you so much for doing this series with me. I totally enjoyed it. I loved it, and I enjoyed hearing from you guys, and thank you again, and I hope to see you next time. So have a wonderful day. Bye.